What is going on, Minties? The Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition. And today I'm going to do an overview of the Frontline Combat, part of the EC Archives. This is Volume 2, hardcover, and our encounters with evil, both from Dark Horse, so please stay tuned. Okay, so the first book we're going to look at is Our Encounters with Evil. And before I get started on this, I wanted to say thank you to Dark Horse for sending us copies of this so we could do an overview. Okay, so here is that well-known Mike Mignola artwork on the cover. And then the back here. The book is retailed for $17.99. It is a hardback with no dust jacket, and it's a standard size edition. So what that means is it's the size of a trade paperback. It's just a little bit taller because of this backboard here. Now let's look at inside the design. This is based on characters created by Mike Mignola, and actually this is the second time that him and Warwick Johnson-Cadwell have teamed up. The first time they teamed up was on I guess the predecessor to this book, and that was called Mr. Higgins Comes Home. I never got around to reading that one. But I did start reading this one, and honestly, I wasn't lost at all. I know the first one it was like a vampire comedy. And here's some of the internal artwork. It is 88 pages, like I said, and the pages are really nice and thick. So it's like this premium hardcover format that Dark Horse is known for doing. Here's a little more of the artwork. Let's look back here and the back so you can get a better look at some of the artwork without spoiling much of anything. So the story is continuing the adventures of Professor J.T. Meinhardt and his assistant, Mr. Knox. And it's kind of a goofy, I guess, almost borrowing elements from Sherlock Holmes, but of course with this fantasy and horror thrown in. And I've read about half, so I better not flip too much through here. And it was pretty entertaining, so let's look in the back, see if there's anything extra. In the back here, we have a couple of pages of extras. These are mainly the sketchbook. We know that Mignola loves putting in the sketchbook stuff. And recommended reading, of course, Mr. Higgins Comes Home, which is still available, by the way, in hardcover format. Still in print. Let's look at the spine really quick, because I didn't get a chance to do that earlier. Okay, now we are looking at Frontline Combat, War and Fighting Men. This is part of their EC line, the EC Archives, that was originally published by Gemstone, and then Dark Horse ended up with the rights to publish it. By the way, this book retails for $49.99, like the rest of the EC Archive books. You can see the covers here of the books that it collects, and this is Volume 2, so it collects issues 7 through 11 of Frontline Combat. Okay. So this particular volume is 184 pages long. It is oversized. It's let's see. Just grab the random oversized omnibus, and it happened to be Daredevil. So it's a little bit taller, and it's definitely longer than your standard edition oversized omnibus or oversized hardcovers. All right, so let's look inside here. Let's look at the inside of the book. It's a very graphic opening. Man, some of the best comic books ever written and drawn are in these pages here. Anything from the EC Archives is just wonderful. So you have an introduction by Grant Geisman, and I think there's one and a foreword by Ray Fox. And you get the cover, and then the inside of the comic books in these pages. Now, some people have issues with the way that these are recolored, but I myself don't have any problems with them. I think they look great, and they did, I think, what they could with restoring the artwork and adding this new modernized colorization to it. And honestly, to me, it was the best way to get it for the price. So you have talent like Wally Wood, Jack Davis, John Severus. Who else worked on this? Oh, Harvey Kurtzman, of course. Jerry DeFuccio. So this is some of the best war stories ever written. There, I think, are only 2 volumes available, just volumes 1 and 2, before the series changed over to another book. Because, of course, the EC Archives are the reason why we had the book burnings, or the comic book burnings rather, and the Seduction of the Innocent books that were published, and then the Comics Authority Code stamp on every book that we used to have because of their graphic violence and depiction of murder and things like that. So they're popular because of Tales from the Crypt, Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror, books like that. But this line here should not be missed. This is awesome. They've also done westerns. Actually, love comics. Let's see. Usually in the back they advertise what they have. Yes, so here's all their titles that are available from Dark Horse. So, and then coming out in 2019 and 2020, I thought there was a love comic book. I've never read any of these, so it'd be pretty interesting to check those out. And then the EC annuals, which are like trade paperbacks. The paper quality of these, by the way, it's very nice and thick. And the binding is sewn binding. I'm sure you could probably tell as I was laying it over. And absolutely perfect. Like I said, I think most people's issues with these reprints are the recolorization or the use of computer graphics to color and modernize the colors for the artwork. Before then, all I had was the Gem Publishing black and white one, so I'm okay with this. And that was it. That was the content of each of the books. Let me know in the comments down below if any of these pique your interest, or if you've been picking them up as they've been coming out. For example, if you've already read the previous book by Mignola and Caldwell, Johnson-Cadwell, or if you've been getting the Frontline Combat EC archives to begin with. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.